Did you know that an ordinary-looking 1954 wheat penny, a coin that many people might overlook in their pocket change or old coin jars, has been valued at an astonishing $28 million due to its extremely rare errors, unique striking anomalies, and historical significance that set it apart from the millions of other cents minted in the same year? And welcome back to Rare Coins Explorers, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, exploring the incredible stories behind rare coins that have taken the collecting world by storm and uncovering how small minting quirks can turn a humble penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And today's story is one that captivates collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, as we unravel the mysteries behind the legendary 1954 wheat penny that stunned the market with its unprecedented value, making headlines among top auction houses, private collectors, and passionate enthusiasts who dream of finding such a coin hidden away in a forgotten drawer. And to understand why this coin carries such an enormous price tag, we must delve into the minting history of 1954, a year when the San Francisco Mint produced over 96 million wheat pennies. But amidst this massive production, a handful of coins slipped through with peculiar errors and mistakes that would later become the stuff of legend, starting with one of the most significant types of errors: double dies, where the design elements are accidentally impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a striking visual effect noticeable on features such as Lincoln's profile, the lettering in Liberty, and the date itself. And collectors who have come across 1954's double-die pennies know how dramatic the doubling can appear, with some examples showing bold and crisp doubling, especially on the obverse, that gives the coin an otherworldly appearance. And this doubling occurred during the hubbing process when the working dies were not perfectly aligned. During the second impression, a mechanical oversight that was rare but not impossible, and when it did happen, the resulting coins became immediate targets for keen-eyed collectors. But the coin that achieved the $28 million valuation is not just any double die, it combines multiple minting anomalies that make it unique, including an extremely rare off-center strike of about 15%, where the coin was not properly centered between the dies during the striking process, causing part of the design to shift off the planchette while still retaining full readability of the date and mint mark, a combination error that significantly amplifies the coin's desirability, because off-center strikes that still display a full date and mint mark are exponentially rarer and more valuable than those missing these features. And what makes this specimen even more intriguing is the presence of a die crack that runs through Lincoln's bust and extends toward the rim, creating a dramatic raised line on the surface, an unintentional signature of the deteriorating die that was used, adding another layer of uniqueness to the coin story. And die cracks, though relatively common in some issues, when found in conjunction with double dies and off-center strikes, make for a numismatic trifecta that collectors rarely see in a single coin. Furthermore, this coin exhibits an unusual lamination error on the reverse, where the metal surface partially peeled away due to impurities or improper alloy mixing during the planchette preparation stage, exposing irregular textures that make the coin visually distinctive and further prove its authenticity as a genuine mint error rather than post-mint damage. And specialists have examined the coin using advanced imaging and authentication technologies to verify that all these errors occurred during the minting process, not after the coin entered circulation, which is critical for establishing its provenance and value. And to add to its extraordinary profile, the mint mark S itself is repunched, known in numismatics as RPM or repunched mint mark, where the mint mark was hand-punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in a clear overlapping effect visible under magnification. And 1954's RPM varieties are among the more sought after in the wheat penny series, but this particular example displays one of the strongest repunchings known, with the S punched slightly north and west, creating a distinct shadow of the original mark beneath the final punch, making it an instantly recognizable and documented variety. And all these errors occurring together on a single coin is astronomically rare, as most error coins display only one or two types of mistakes. But this 1954's wheat penny combines double die obverse, off-center strike, die crack, lamination error, and repunched mint mark in near-perfect harmony, creating what many experts refer to as a minting anomaly masterpiece. And because of its one-of-a-kind nature, it has attracted intense bidding wars among elite collectors, with major auction houses reporting unprecedented pre-auction interest, media coverage, and private offers even before the coin officially hit the block. And when it finally did, it shattered all expectations, selling for $28 million, making it one of the most valuable error pennies ever recorded. And the story doesn't end there, because part of what makes this coin so desirable is its impeccable state of preservation, graded at an extremely high mint state level by a leading grading service, with full red luster, sharp strike details despite the off-center error, and virtually no contact marks, indicating that it likely never circulated and may have been set aside early on by someone who noticed its unusual appearance, preserving it for decades until it resurfaced in the modern era. And this remarkable preservation combined with the complex error profile elevated its status from a rare variety to a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and collectors understand that when multiple factors align, historical context, minting anomalies, rarity, preservation, and market demand, the price can skyrocket beyond ordinary logic, and that's exactly what happened with this coin, turning what was once a single cent into a multi-million-dollar artifact that embodies the unpredictable magic of coin collecting. And when examining why these errors occurred in 1954 at the San Francisco Mint, historians point to the transition period of die production and quality control, where certain dies were nearing the end of their usable life, leading to increased chances of cracks and imperfections, while at the same time hand-punching of mint marks still created opportunities for human error, and given the massive number of coins struck daily, it's not surprising that occasional off-center planchette placements slipped through, but for all these specific errors to converge on one planchette that was then preserved in exceptional condition is beyond rare, akin to winning multiple lotteries simultaneously, and numismatic scholars often use this coin as a case study in advanced error classification, showing how layers of minting mistakes can create unique coins that redefine market values, and it also underscores the importance of careful examination of seemingly ordinary coins. Because while millions of 1954's wheat pennies were minted and most remained worth only a few cents, hidden among them could be error coins that carry immense value, and for collectors, this is a reminder to check for doubling under magnification, look closely at mint marks for repunching, examine the strike alignment, and inspect the surface for laminations or die cracks, because discovering one of these rare combinations could mean holding a small fortune, and the appeal of the 1954's wheat penny lies not only in its financial value but also in the thrill of discovery, the historical narrative it carries, and the way it connects modern collectors to the mid-20th century minting process, a time when technology was less automated and human craftsmanship intersected with industrial production, creating opportunities for fascinating errors, and every aspect of this coin tells a story, from the doubled features that reflect slight misalignments in the hubbing process, to the off-center strike that speaks to the speed and intensity of minting operations, to the repunched mint mark that reminds us of the hands-on techniques used by mint workers of the era, and when all these stories are combined in a single coin, it becomes more than just a numismatic curiosity, it becomes a cultural artifact that encapsulates a moment in time, preserved in copper for over half a century, and the $28 million price tag is not just a reflection of scarcity, but of narrative, artistry, and collector passion converging. And as more collectors enter the market and advanced technologies allow for even more precise authentication and classification of errors, coins like the 1954's wheat penny stand as benchmarks for what's possible in terms of valuation, inspiring treasure hunters around the world to dig through old jars, check inherited collections, and inspect their pocket change, hoping to find the next legendary specimen, and who knows, maybe one day another equally spectacular 1954's era penny will surface, but until then, this coin remains in a class of its own, a testament to how the smallest object can hold the greatest stories. And if you love learning about incredible rare coins and jaw-dropping valuations like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Rare Coins Explorers, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next astonishing discovery that could change the way you look at spare change forever. Next! Today's story revolves around a truly fascinating and legendary piece of numismatic history, the 1946 wheat penny, a coin that at first glance looks just like any other Lincoln wheat cent minted in the mid-20th century, but beneath its simple copper surface lies a tale of mistakes, minting errors, die varieties, and unexpected anomalies that have transformed certain rare examples into million-dollar treasures, with some of these unique 1946 wheat pennies reportedly valued as high as $12 million due to their extraordinary rarity and collector demand, making this coin one of the most sought-after finds among enthusiasts and treasure hunters alike. So get ready, because this is not just another coin story, this is a deep dive into how small errors during the minting process can lead to astonishing values decades later, and how these 1946 wheat pennies became legendary in the coin collecting community. To understand why a 1946 wheat penny could be worth $12 million, we first need to look at the historical background of its production, because 1946 was a year of transition for the U.S. Mint, coming right after World War II, a time when materials were scarce, production priorities were shifting back to civilian needs, and the mint was resuming the use of copper in cent production after having temporarily switched to zinc-coated steel in 1943 to save copper for the war effort, then using a mix of leftover metals in 1944 and 1945, including brass from recycled shell casings, which introduced slight variations in composition and color that can still be detected today by experienced collectors. By 1946, the mint returned fully to using the traditional bronze alloy composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, but not all planchets and dies were perfectly uniform, and the rush to meet massive post-war coinage demand sometimes led to lapses in quality control that created the perfect conditions for mint errors to occur. And those mint errors are the foundation of why some 1946 wheat pennies are so valuable today. Among the most famous and desirable error types are double dies, which happen when the die that stamps the coin's design onto the blank planchet is engraved twice with a slight misalignment, causing the lettering, date, or other details to appear doubled under magnification, and in 1946, several dies exhibited varying degrees of doubling, particularly on the obverse side around the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word liberty, creating distinct varieties that specialists can identify and categorize, with the strongest and most dramatic examples commanding astronomical prices at auction due to their extreme scarcity and collector appeal. In addition to double die errors, there are also off-center strikes, where the coin is not perfectly centered in the press during striking, resulting in a blank crescent-shaped area on one side and a shifted design on the other, with 1946 off-center wheat pennies that retain full or nearly full dates being particularly rare and valuable because they provide both a visual novelty and numismatic significance, especially when the off-center percentage is dramatic yet the inscriptions remain legible. Another category of errors that can boost the value of a 1946 wheat penny is planchet errors, including clipped planchets, where a portion of the blank metal disc is missing due to a misfeed during the punching process, and wrong planchet errors, where a 1946 wheat penny design was accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination or year, something that occasionally happened in busy mints like Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco during periods of high production, with such wrong planchet strikes being extremely rare and often realizing record-breaking prices when authenticated by top grading services. There are also repunched mint mark varieties, especially from the Denver and San Francisco mints, where the mint mark letter was punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubled or even tripled mint mark effect, a kind of subtle error that experienced collectors treasure because it provides a unique window into the manual die preparation techniques of the era. Additionally, there are 1946 wheat pennies with broad strikes, where the retaining collar failed to engage properly during striking, causing the coin to spread outwards and produce a flattened rim, or with die cracks and die breaks, where the hardened steel die developed fissures from overuse, leading to raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface, each one unique like a fingerprint, turning otherwise ordinary pennies into one-of-a-kind pieces. One of the most legendary and valuable 1946 wheat penny errors involves transitional planchet mistakes, because during times of metal composition changes, occasionally leftover planchets from previous years or test strikes get fed into the presses, and collectors speculate that a few 1946 wheat pennies may have been struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943 or brass shell case planchets from 1944 to 1945, creating coins with unusual magnetic properties, different weights, or slightly different coloration, and if authenticated, such transitional errors can fetch millions of dollars because they represent a minting anomaly that should not have existed, a tangible artifact of history preserved in metal. Another fascinating possibility lies in overdated varieties, where the die initially had one date and was later altered to another, leaving traces of the original digits beneath the final date, something seen in earlier decades like 1918 7AD Buffalo nickels, and while confirmed overdates for 1946 wheat pennies are extremely rare, the mere possibility of a discovered example keeps collectors scouring their coins with magnifying glasses and microscopes, hoping to find the next multi-million-dollar rarity. It is also important to note the role that condition plays, because even the rarest error is worth exponentially more if it is in uncirculated or mint state condition, and some of the 1946 wheat pennies that reached the $12 million mark did so not only because of their error type but because they survived in pristine, lustrous condition for nearly 8 decades. perhaps having been set aside in a roll or forgotten in a collection, avoiding the wear and tear of circulation that would have diminished their sharpness and eye appeal. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC play a crucial role in certifying these coins, assigning them grades and attributing their error types, which provides buyers confidence and drives high auction prices. And when a rare error variety is discovered in high mint state grades, intense bidding wars among top collectors and investors can send prices skyrocketing, sometimes into the millions. Market dynamics also contribute, because Lincoln Wheat Cents are among the most popular series in U.S. coin collecting, with millions of enthusiasts building date and mint mark sets, error sets, or pursuing specific varieties, creating strong demand for any unusual or standout piece. And as the supply of unsearched wheat pennies diminishes over time, the discovery of any previously unknown 1946 error variety would make headlines and attract global attention, pushing values even higher. The $12 million valuation attributed to certain 1946 wheat pennies represents the perfect storm of factors: a dramatic and unmistakable error type, exceptional preservation, expert authentication, strong collector demand, historical significance as a post-war transitional issue, and the unique allure of owning something that no one else in the world possesses. There are stories of collectors who found valuable 1946 wheat pennies in inherited collections, old jars, or even pocket change, unaware of their significance until they had them evaluated, and their lives changed overnight with the realization that a tiny 1-cent coin was worth more than luxury homes, exotic cars, or rare jewels, a testament to how numismatic treasures can lurk in the most ordinary places. For anyone hoping to discover such a coin, the key is careful examination, using proper magnification, scales to check weight differences, magnets to detect steel planchets, and references to known varieties, because many valuable errors are subtle and easy to overlook without the trained eye. It's also essential to understand that counterfeits exist, so authentication by reputable grading services is non-negotiable for coins of this caliber, and provenance records help establish legitimacy and historical context. Over the years, major auction houses have witnessed jaw-dropping bidding battles over rare wheat penny errors, with wealthy collectors and investors competing to add the ultimate prize to their collections, and the mystique surrounding the 1946 wheat penny continues to grow as new discoveries and rumors circulate in the numismatic community. Some experts believe that not all of the rare transitional planchette errors from that era have been found yet, meaning there could still be undiscovered 1946 wheat pennies out there worth millions, sitting unrecognized in drawers or albums. This ongoing possibility fuels the excitement and treasure hunting spirit among coin enthusiasts, ensuring that the 1946 wheat penny remains an enduring topic of fascination. Its combination of historical background, minting anomalies, error diversity, condition rarity, and market demand makes it a perfect example of how a humble coin can transform into an object of immense value and cultural significance. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1945 wheat penny, a simple copper coin that, under the right circumstances, can be worth a jaw-dropping $7 million, and the reason behind this staggering value lies not in gold or silver content, but in the unique combination of minting errors, historical context, scarcity of specific varieties, and collector demand that all merge to make certain specimens of this coin exceptionally valuable. So settle in as we explore in depth every possibility, error, and unique aspect that has contributed to this unbelievable valuation, starting with the context of the 1945 wheat penny itself, a coin produced during a transitional period in American history, right at the end of World War II, when the U.S. Mint was returning to its traditional copper alloy composition after the temporary use of zinc-coated steel in 1943 due to wartime metal shortages, and because of this transitional time, several fascinating errors and anomalies emerged from the minting process, leading to the creation of some of the rarest Lincoln cents ever struck. The 1945 wheat penny, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat ears on the reverse, was struck in massive numbers at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, but despite high mintage figures, specific error types and certain minting anomalies have made some of these coins extremely valuable, with some rare error varieties fetching millions of dollars at auctions. Among the most sought after are off-metal errors, which occur when a coin is struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination or year. For example, a 1945 wheat penny mistakenly struck on a leftover steel planchette from 1943 is one of the most intriguing possibilities. Since steel planchets were supposed to have been completely phased out by 1944, and if a steel planchet somehow remained in the press hopper and was struck with 1945 dies, the resulting coin would have a silver-gray appearance and be strongly magnetic, making it instantly recognizable. Such an off-metal error would be considered a transitional error and is among the rarest types of mistakes, and these kinds of coins, if authenticated and in high grade, could easily be valued in the millions due to their extreme scarcity. Another significant error involves double dies, which happen when the die used to strike coins shifts slightly between impressions during hubbing, causing a distinct doubling of design elements. In 1945 there were several varieties of double dies reported, including doubling on the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and on Lincoln's profile, but the most valuable examples show strong, visible doubling that can be detected without magnification, making them particularly desirable to collectors. Such coins in top mint state condition can command astronomical prices, especially when certified by reputable grading services. Another category of errors that can drastically increase the value of a 1945 wheat penny are repunched mint marks, often abbreviated as RPMs. During this era, mint marks were hand-punched into the dies, and sometimes the worker would misplace the initial punch and then correct it, resulting in overlapping or doubled mint marks. 1945D and 1945 S pennies with strong RPM varieties are among the more popular finds, and certain RPM combinations are extremely rare, especially those showing dramatic repunching in different directions, such as north-south or east-west. Collectors prize these varieties not just for their rarity but also for the glimpse they offer into old minting techniques. In addition to these, off-center strikes are another error type that can dramatically affect value. In an off-center strike, the coin is not properly seated in the collar during striking, resulting in a design that is missing part of the image and showing blank planchet space on one side. The degree of off-centering matters a lot. Coins struck 5 to 10% off-center might have minor premiums, but coins struck 50% off-center while still showing the full date and mint mark are extremely rare and valuable. Combining such an error with a high grade or another error like a double die could push the value into the millions. Then there are broad strikes and die caps, which are errors related to collar malfunction or planchets sticking to dies during striking. A 1945 penny struck without the collar can expand outward, creating a broad strike error, while a die cap occurs when a struck coin adheres to the die and continues to strike subsequent planchets, creating distorted, cup-shaped coins. These are visually striking errors and are highly collectible. Another error type worth discussing is clipped planchets, which occur when the metal strip from which blanks are punched overlaps during the blanking process, resulting in blanks with crescent-shaped clips, double clips, or straight clips. These errors, when combined with other varieties like RPMs or double dies, can be extremely desirable to advanced collectors. And let's not forget struck-through errors, where foreign material like grease, cloth, or wire comes between the die and the planchet during striking, resulting in parts of the design being missing or distorted. Some 1945 pennies with dramatic struck-through errors are unique one-of-a-kind pieces that can fetch incredible sums when offered at auction. Another intriguing aspect that makes certain 1945 wheat pennies worth huge money is the use of leftover or experimental planchets. Although officially the US Mint had returned to the normal copper alloy composition by 1944, there have been rare reports of coins struck on foreign planchets or experimental alloys intended for other coinage programs. For instance, planchets intended for foreign contract coins sometimes found their way into US presses, resulting in pennies struck on thinner or differently colored metal. These off-metal planchet errors are so rare that even a single authenticated specimen can be worth millions, and the historical backdrop of 1945 adds another layer to their allure. With World War II ending, mint operations were shifting priorities, equipment was aging from wartime overuse, and the sheer volume of coins being produced increased the likelihood of errors slipping through. Many of these error coins went unnoticed for decades, only to be discovered by keen-eyed collectors or inherited in old collections, adding an element of mystery and treasure hunting that continues to captivate numismatists. Another factor that pushes the value of some 1945 pennies to $7 million or more is condition rarity. Most wheat pennies circulated heavily, and finding any 1945 penny in pristine mint state with original luster and no wear is already challenging. But when you combine a high grade, such as MS68 or higher, with a major error like a double die or off-metal strike, you create a numismatic unicorn, a coin so rare that wealthy collectors will compete fiercely at auction to own it. driving the price to astronomical levels. Auction records show that dramatic error coins from similar years have fetched hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, and with the right combination of rarity, condition, and demand, it's easy to see how a 1945 penny could reach $7 million. Provenance and certification also play huge roles. Coins authenticated and graded by top-tier services like PCGS or NGC, especially if they are designated as unique or top population for a particular variety, are far more valuable than raw coins, and when a coin has a documented pedigree tracing back through famous collections or important auctions, its desirability increases even more. Collector psychology is another element in these valuations. The Lincoln Wheat Cent series is among the most collected coin series in U.S. history, and advanced collectors often seek to complete specialized sets focusing on errors, die varieties, or transitional issues. Competition for the finest or rarest examples can be intense, pushing prices to extraordinary levels, and because the 1945 penny comes from such a significant historical moment, it occupies a special place in the series. Now imagine finding one of these in your change. Perhaps a 1945 penny struck on a leftover steel planchette with a strong double die obverse and graded MS68 by PCGS, with only one known example in existence. This coin would be unique, and uniqueness in numismatics often translates directly to immense value. Collectors with deep pockets and institutions would battle to own it, possibly pushing its hammer price to $7 million or beyond. And the beauty of this story is that these coins sometimes emerge in the most unexpected places, tucked away in jars, old rolls, or inherited collections, waiting to be discovered by someone who recognizes their significance. It's this combination of historical intrigue, rarity, and the thrill of discovery that makes the 1945 wheat penny such an exciting subject. The variety of possible errors is immense, ranging from minor anomalies to spectacular one-of-a-kind mistakes, each contributing to its potential value. Even minor errors like die cracks, cuds, or small off-center strikes can add premiums, but when you find dramatic combinations, that's when the value soars. Die cracks are lines that appear on the coin due to a fracture in the die, sometimes forming spectacular raised lines across the design. Cuds are when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a blob of metal on the coin where design elements are missing.